Hey guys, welcome back to another match preview. This is a really special match preview because we're getting ready for the freaking Champions League semifinals, Real Madrid versus Chelsea. I'm super excited, also really nervous. My heart is racing just thinking about it right now. And I'm so lucky to be joined by Rodrigo. I'm going to butcher if I try to say Rodrigo from the Merengue Culé. And he does awesome videos on Real Madrid and Barcelona with your brother, right? So we're just going to get the lowdown on Real Madrid. Ask any questions that you want to know about because he's going to be an expert. So how's it going? Thank you so much for joining me.
For sure. I'm so happy to be here. And overall, I'm just so excited about this whole Champions League. Honestly, when I saw that Chelsea was like a potential team to play, I was really you always, every time you look at what teams you can play against, and I'm not talking about difficulty wise, but I saw Chelsea and I was like, you know what? Chelsea is a team that Madrid has not played in the Champions League in so long. Honestly, since I've been a fan for Madrid, which has been over 12, 13 years. And so I was really excited to come up against them. So I'm just super excited about this whole scenario.
I was really excited too, especially because I just feel like there's so much history between the sides do a lot of business together. We have a lot of players that have played for both sides, like Kovacic, Courtois, and of course any Chelsea fan will tell you Eden Hazard is their favorite player. No, oh my god.
I had to wear it for today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I need a Hazard jersey, but maybe I'll get the Belgian one. But so how did you feel knowing that you're coming up against Chelsea? Do you feel that it's like you guys are going through that Chelsea are more underdogs? Were you excited to play Chelsea?
So obviously,
you can be honest with us.
No, yeah, and I'm gonna be totally honest. You look at all the teams that were in that draw, and when the draw was made for the the quarterfinals, it was everyone wanted Porto, right? And then you guys got Porto, and obviously it was nice, but whenever we saw how the brackets were tied up, we Madrid fans were as happy as they could because not because Chelsea's a bad team by any means, but because facing PSG, Manchester City, or Bayern Munich was just terrifying for just about any team right now in Europe, I would think. So I think to be in the side of the bracket that had Chelsea as a Madrid fan gave us a little more illusion, a little more hope of potentially reaching that final. So in that sense, we are happy to I guess be facing up with Chelsea, I would say.
I think most Chelsea fans will probably tell you the same thing. Honestly, when I saw I was watching the draw and I saw the P of Porto, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe we've actually gotten one of the not easier sides, but that it wasn't a PSG or City or Bayern Munich. And I think Real Madrid are obviously a really difficult side. So they're always going to be a difficult side. You guys have absolutely dominated in Europe the past couple of years as well. But this season really hasn't been going amazingly for you. So I think given the circumstances, it was probably the best scenario, maybe for both teams.
Exactly.
So I want to ask you, can you tell us more about Real Madrid's season, maybe your formation, kind of the style of play that you usually implement?
Yeah. So starting off with the first part, which is the season, it's definitely been a season of ups and downs. We started the season with a couple wins, so we were okay, we're building on last season in which we won La Liga, so we were we want to be able to redo that. Madrid has not won La Liga back to back in so many years. So starting off strong, we're this could be the year. And then we went through a huge slump where offensively, which is something that we can talk about, further on in this live stream video. Offensively, Madrid struggles a lot. Ever since Ronaldo has left, the team overall has really, really struggled to score goals. And so the moment some of those players that started off the season really strong started to get a little bit tired, right away we noticed how the team went down. And from there on, we went through a really rough patch. I don't know if you remember, but in the Champions League itself, in the group stage, there was a point in which we didn't even know if we were going to make it through to the next round. And
I don't remember the team's name, but I remember it was a team, and you guys went down, and I was like, "What is happening?"
Exactly. Yeah, we lost both games to Shakhtar, which was just completely shocking. And then we also had to play Borussia Mönchengladbach from Germany, and we were down 2-0 with like 5 minutes to go, and somehow ended up pulling 2 goals in the last couple minutes to tie that, which is really what gave us some type of hope. And then we ended up beating Inter Milan in both games around. So that's what ended up saving us ultimately, because we were this close to obviously not making it to the next round. So the season has had its up and downs. I will say, though, that this season and for the most part, Madrid tends to perform the best when it comes to the big games. That's been the trend so far. Every time. Exactly. Every time we've played Atletico, we tied them once this season, but we beat them the other time. Beat Barcelona twice, beat Liverpool, beat Inter Milan. So yeah, like all the big games, the team tends to step it up when it most matters. It's usually whenever we face like lower league teams that's when like we struggle, whether it's because of morale or a lot of times I think it's in part due to the way the team plays, which we can kind of get onto Chelsea, because usually whenever Madrid faces more defensive teams is when they struggle.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, no, what I was going to say is like there's a real parallel there between the two sides, because Chelsea also struggled to break down the sides in the bottom of the table. We lost 5-2 to West Brom, who were fighting relegation, drew against Brighton 0-0. It's like for some reason we can beat all these bigger sides. We can beat Tottenham, Man City, Liverpool, Atletico Madrid twice, Porto, and then against like these lower sides, we are struggling to beat them. And I think that it has to do with the morale, like you said as well, that maybe you go into the game being a little bit too cocky and think like, oh, well, we got this. And then you just completely struggle to break it down. So it's going to be interesting to see which side really gives and breaks, because I think that they're both like very prepared to go into this match. And so I want to get into, like you said, so Chelsea, as you know, play very defensively since Thomas Tuchel came in. How do you think that's going to affect Real Madrid, if at all? And what do you think the key is going to be to breaking down that Chelsea side?
Yeah, so that's actually something that I wanted to ask you, like what you noticed were the difference when Tuchel came in compared to Lampard, because obviously the team completely changed, like 180 degrees. Y'all were looking like one of like the weaker teams of the top Premier League teams, and then Tuchel comes in, and now you're all are like one of the strongest, if not the stronger, because y'all just beat Man City, right? But so I was just looking up at some stats to kind of see what is the formation that you guys most like to run. And so I saw this season y'all have actually ran like the 4-3-3 one more time than the 5 in the back formation, but I'm assuming a lot of those were with Lampard, and now that Tuchel came in, it's more 5 in the back, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So basically we were playing 4-3-3 under Lampard. Tuchel came in, completely scrapped that. So now we play 3-5-2-1. 3-4-2-1. So 3 center backs, 2 wing backs. It's very defensively minded. And that's a problem, I think, with Chelsea, is that it's so defensively minded that sometimes we are not able to score goals. If you look at the scorelines, we're winning games, but maybe by 1 goal, maybe 2 goals, but the majority 1-0 wins. We're not really outscoring the opponent by much. But I do think like Chelsea have been keeping a lot of clean sheets. I don't know off the top of my head, but out of Tuchel's 20 or so games, I think, I don't know, over 15 at least have been clean sheets. So it'll be interesting to see how Real Madrid can break like the side down, if they can do it, because we've clean sheets against like Atletico Madrid, against Liverpool, against City, all of the big teams we've kept clean sheets against.
Exactly. And that's just like, it's super interesting, because in that sense, these two teams, both Madrid and Chelsea, are coming in super similar. Like Madrid recently, over the past month or so, have transitioned to a 5 in the back formation, which I think is what they're going to actually run against you guys. That's like, I try to get in Zidane's head and think what the best way is. And whenever you look at the players that we have available, so one of the things that that we were going to bring up earlier later is the fact that Mendy is not going to be available for this match. And Mendy has been an instrumental player for us this season. He's the one that allows, a lot of times like Vinicius Jr. or other attackers to really be able to push forward, because Mendy is so fast and has such like big physical attributes into him that it allows the whole defense to be able to push up a little bit higher to press the team. And if we lose the ball, then we know we have a player that is super, super fast and physical that will be able to catch anyone. So not having him is a big loss for us. However, at the same time, Zidane has been, ever since, like the past couple months, Zidane has been experimenting with that 5 in the back formation. And usually whenever he runs the 5 in the back formation, he lets Marcelo take that left wing back position.
Okay, so he benches Mendy if you guys play 5 at the back.
He started putting Mendy as a center back, which is it's super interesting because you wouldn't think that because Mendy is a smaller player, but he's kind of like a Spilicueta in the sense like he's fast, right? And the problem with Mendy is a lot of times going up in attack, he looked a little bit awkward. The dribbling wasn't the greatest. Yeah, he scored that goal against Atalanta from like super far out, but honestly, it was kind of lucky in my opinion. So just going forward was never really his forte, but defending was always his forte. So by putting Mendy at center back, we gained a lot. So that was really, really interesting. However, yes, so like I was saying, like Mendy is probably not going to be there, this for this first leg at least. And having Marcelo there gives us a lot more in attack, which is what I'm really interested, because Marcelo, whenever he's not coming in a top form. Marcelo has not been in top form for a good 2 years now. But nonetheless, whenever Marcelo doesn't have to worry as much about defensive duties because he knows he has 3 center backs behind him to cover him, he plays a lot better on the field. So that is potentially something that could help us break down that Chelsea like defense, which is something that you were mentioning earlier.
And on the flip side, Chelsea fans, this could potentially be good for us, because if you have somebody like Marcelo who's pushing up the pitch, maybe we can take advantage of that space counter. We know the speed that our players have, like a Timo Werner, Havertz, Pulisic. We don't know who's going to be starting, but it could potentially be good for us as well. And I was looking up just some stats about Marcelo versus Mendy. Obviously, Marcelo has like half of the game time. But it was just interesting. I was looking up like the points per match when each player's on the pitch. And for Marcelo, it was 1.5, Mendy 2.38, goals scored while on the pitch, 14 for Marcelo, Mendy 47, obviously, again, But if you double 14, it's still only 2.
Yeah. And then, like, again, like those stats are just for the season, right?
Yeah, it's just for the season.
Yeah, I mean, which are probably going to be, Mendy has honestly played 80% of this season. So yeah, that's why the Marcelo stats seem to be really low, but yeah, he hasn't gotten very much.
I heard something. It must have been around like the late fall, early winter, that said like you guys had lost every game that Marcelo had started or something. Like,
which is something that I always say this in my account. Usually the way like I usually run my videos is whenever it's not a live reaction that we do, I'll just do like an analysis. So I'll always do like a little, like my intro will be before the game, and then the next part of the video is like at halftime, and then I end it with the actual end of the game. And so every time that in the intro that I talk about the lineup and I see Marcelo starting, I'm like, guys, I don't remember the last time that we won with Marcelo on the field, especially whenever we pair up Marcelo and Isco. That is usually a formula for a disaster for Madrid.
Interesting. Yeah. So you think that you're going to see that like a back 4, back 5, because Mendy isn't there to slide into the center back role or the left back role, obviously.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not 100% sure about it, because I was expecting Zidane to maybe test out the 5 in the back this weekend, and he didn't. However, he did the game before. So I personally think that we're going to be running 5 in the back with Marcelo, and then obviously Ramos is going to be missing out this game, which is a big loss for us.
Oh, he's missing as well.
Yeah.
Why is he missing? Suspended?
He's no. That's the first go-to for Ramos. He's got to be suspended. Yeah. No. He hurt his knee, which is really annoying because he had been out. He's been out basically since all of 2021 for us, which has been really unlucky. The moment he came back for us, he played like one game, and then we went on to the international break, and he's all about playing as many games he can with Spain, and so he goes to the international break and gets injured again on his knee. So he's been out since. So yeah, unfortunately, he didn't recover for this one, but we are gonna have Varane, Nacho, and Militao in the defense. For like in terms of like Militao, like I'm thinking of like Chelsea fans, like Militao for us doesn't play that much. So for Madrid fans, it was really like really nerve-wracking whenever we saw that, you know, he was going to be playing the majority of the minutes because he's barely played this season. Nacho has stepped it up a lot. But however, when Militao started playing, his first games were against Liverpool and like a couple of La Liga games, and then it was Liverpool right away, then Barcelona, and he's been killing it, honestly. Like, he's been doing super, super good, almost to the point where we have not even missed Ramos, which is incredible.
Says a lot. Yeah, that says a lot. I think we had kind of a similar situation with Thiago Silva, who I'm sure you know, that he got injured, and then Christensen came in and he wasn't playing, and then he got like man of the match like consistently for a couple of games. So who do you think is going to be your most important player, maybe your top 2 players for this game?
So only for Madrid, right?
Yeah, only for Madrid.
100% Karim Benzema. Without him, if somehow he were to be injured or test positive for COVID before the game, Chelsea fans could basically celebrate like
he saves you guys so much.
Us without Karim Benzema at this current state is basically like we will not score. We will not score. We'll score maybe 1 goal if we get lucky. He runs the whole attack. He orchestrates everything. Always finishing. Obviously, he has like 23, 24 goals this season in just La Liga, and then 6 in Champions League, I think. Yeah, so without him, Madrid is toast. The other player that I would say, if I could name the whole midfield, I would. But if I have to pick one out, then it would probably be Casemiro.
Okay.
And it's really hard for me to make this decision because Modric has been playing out of his mind like this season. For being 35 years old, he's playing like he's 25. So
that like him, Cruz, like I didn't realize like they're getting older.
They're getting older. Yeah. They're definitely getting older. They've been going with Madrid for quite a while now. Toni Kroos this weekend, he hasn't Madrid, so Madrid has been resting him for the Chelsea game for about 2 weeks now, just because he's been playing, like the whole midfield has been playing just about every single minute because we had Valverde, who's our other midfielder, who is extremely good, but he's been injured a good part of the season. Right now, he's not going to be able to play the first leg because of COVID. So he's missing out, and we really have no other midfielders. We loaned out Odegaard to Arsenal in the winter break, which sucked for us because we needed him, honestly. But whatever, that's a whole different topic. And then we have a player like Isco, who, in my opinion, doesn't run anymore, doesn't provide anything for midfield-wise. So he's basically like we don't really use him. So we just have those 3 midfielders, and those are the 3 midfielders that we've been running all season long with. So they're coming into this end of the season extremely tired, extremely tired. And so that's why we had to rest Toni Kroos for 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks. He has not played for like 2 or 3 games, and it wasn't even due to injury. They literally just had to sit out. So,
that's insane. Yeah. Chelsea are actually in kind of a similar situation because N'Golo Kante has been like in and out of injury this season. He's getting older as well. I think he's going to be 30 this year. Yeah. And then Kovacic, who played for Madrid and I think won Champions League with you guys.
Yeah, we love him.
Yeah, he's so good, and we're really missing him because usually we rotate between like Kovacic and Jorginho, or Kovacic and Kante, or Jorginho and Kante. But without Kovacic, then Kante and Jorginho really aren't getting any rest, and they've been playing every game. They played on Saturday, so they really only have like 2 days of rest before the Madrid game. So I'm hoping that they're not like, like too fatigued. I cannot go through the stream without asking you about the man that all Chelsea fans love. I'm obsessed with him. Eden Hazard. I need to know your thoughts about him. If you think he's going to play in the game, do you think he'll be effective? He's been in and out of injuries for 2 years. I like really feel for him. Yeah, I feel so bad because it was like his dream move, and then he just hasn't even played for Madrid. But I would be heartbroken if he scores or assists or does anything effective against us. And I know I feel like he would be too. I don't know. I just feel like he would be. But
every time I play against an ex-Madrid player, I am terrified because I feel like this is the game where they're going to go off. And especially a player like Hazard, who has not been really playing much, it's like that additional factor of like, well, what if he's extra inspired against Chelsea and he ends up scoring 2 goals against us or something. So I think that's the hope that most Madrid fans have, that out of nowhere, Hazard will be inspired because he's playing against Chelsea and he'll play some sort of amazing game. But that's just us hoping, because if we really cling on to the stats and what has actually happened, Hazard has not really arrived at Madrid.
Yeah.
He's played just a few games, and I always go back and say this. Obviously, there's always been like the jokes of whenever he got to Madrid that one summer, he came in and everyone started calling him fat, became a little overweight.
It always does.
But I always argue for his defense, and I say that's really just his body type. I don't think he's actually when he was at Chelsea. It's not that maybe he was a couple pounds lighter, but he was never like a ripped person. He was always that, and all the professional players that always talk about Hazard always say how he was never really one to work hard. He just kind of showed up and did his thing, scored goals, dribbles, assists, and then just went and had fun by himself. So he's never really been one to work hard, and I think that's what's like paying like dividends on him now with like his fitness and all that stuff. I think that's why he's getting a lot of muscle injuries and all that stuff. So it's really interesting. Whenever he got to Madrid, he obviously didn't start off strong, but then once he came back from that initial injury he had the first like month, he had a solid month and a half where he was nearly playing to in my opinion, Chelsea's level. He's never reached Chelsea's level, but he was getting really, really close. Him and Marcelo were linking up last season like no other. Like they had such good chemistry, and I was like, wow, like here we go. This is what all Madrid fans wanted to see. And I will never forget it. It was in a group stage game against PSG where Munier came in and took him out, and that's where he injured his ankle, and he was out for like 3 months. And ever since, he's never came back like fully healed. His ankle keeps getting re-injured, and a lot of doctors have been saying that his muscular injuries are due to the imbalance because he's trying to compensate for his ankle and to be a little more careful.
I read this thing that like if he needs surgery on his ankle, that he might not play football again.
He already got surgery, but they were thinking
he has surgery, right? He has like the plate in his ankle, I think.
Yeah.
It's really sad, and I don't know if that's just a matter of overplaying in the Premier League, that he was fouled so many times and his body just kind of like gave up once he got to Madrid. But yeah, I think the large majority of us are really, at least myself, I'm going to be so sad if Hazard plays and then scores against us.
He'll play.
It's going to be absolutely heartbreaking. Like if he scores for Chelsea, like an accidental own goal, that would be amazing.
I think that would be the end of Hazard at Madrid. If he scored his own goal,
I sent him back Chelsea, myself.
We quick sell him. Like that's it. He's done. Terminated.
So yeah, he has a soft spot in our hearts. So a lot of people are asking me also to ask you about Courtois and how you feel about him, because a lot of us Chelsea fans are pretty jaded by him and how he left the club. Like he's an amazing goalkeeper, but it's just like a bit unprofessional how he went and did things. But I think he's been really good for you guys, except I think he had one season where he was like
his first season when he arrived at Madrid, he had a really rough season because that's back when we still had Keylor Navas on the team, and what we tried to do was play half and half, and it didn't work out. None of the two goalies were getting the consistency that they deserved and they needed to perform. So it really hindered both of them. So once we sold Keylor Navas, which still makes me really sad to this day because he has a place in my heart too. Yeah. But at the same time, Courtois has earned it too. Like I love Courtois so much. Out every week, every game, there's at least one save that he comes up with that makes or breaks our game. Against Liverpool, each of the legs, he had one huge save. Against Atalanta this weekend, like every game, I kid you not, every game, there's one save that he has that should be a goal, and he doesn't, and he doesn't let it go in. I think that's the difference between a quality goalkeeper, and as much as many people won't want to admit it, he is a really quality goalkeeper, and he's a difference maker for you guys. Like a quality goalkeeper is the difference between conceding a goal and keeping a clean sheet or winning a game from those saves, like you said. But really, he's very lucky that fans aren't allowed in at Stamford Bridge, because I would not even want to see the scenes that would go down. Like Eden Hazard would just have like a shrine for him. Can you imagine that? I didn't even think of that. That's so true. You would eat him alive.
Oh God, yeah, he would. But so kind of moving on to like a bit more of a Chelsea perspective, since my viewers are Chelsea fans. Do you know anything about Chelsea? Like, are there any players that you're scared of facing in the tie?
So I did want to ask you about Mason Mount.
We love Mason
Extremely
Mount.
young, and I know he's been racking up like a lot of minutes. Like he came out of nowhere, and then I was like, oh, like there's this new guy. And I always see new like young players playing for like Man U or Chelsea, City here and there, like Foden and all that. And I was like, okay, let's see if Mason Mount can like stay playing at like the hype that he was getting, and I mean, it seems like he has.
Yeah, so Mason Mount, he's been like really divisive among the Chelsea fan base for some reason, like for absolutely no reason, because he played a lot under Frank Lampard, but now he's playing every game under Thomas Tuchel as well. He has the second most chances created in the entire Premier League, only behind Bruno Fernandes, which says so much. And if you he's getting like back-to-back man of the match performances. And if you just look at his stats, he's starting to score more goals. He's scoring in important games, scored against Liverpool, scored against Porto as well. Only 22. His pressing is like super, super important for Chelsea. The way that we play is that we try to press teams. We try to have control of the ball. If we lose the ball, we try to counter press to get the ball back as quickly as possible. And Mason Mount really helps to initiate that. And what we saw when he played further back against Brighton, Chelsea really like just could not get into the game. I think that's a big part of it. And he's just doing everything. Like he has really great attacking stats, but he also is really high in the team for tackles and interceptions as well. So he's just literally all over the pitch. Yeah, I think he's Chelsea's player of this season for sure.
Where does he normally play? Because I see him as a center attacking mid. Is that where he normally plays, or in the wing?
Yeah. So under Lampard, he was playing as an 8, but now he's playing more as a 10. So he's playing like right behind the strikers, and he's kind of just like going everywhere. So
gotcha. That's interesting. And then another thing that I wanted to bring up was I noticed Chelsea is kind of lacking that attacking reference. I feel like y'all don't have that one striker, that one person in the whole team that's really racking up goals. It's more of like a team-based, performance type of thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this is the problem with Chelsea, that we have so many attackers, I feel, but we just don't really know what their best position is or who's the best together. So we've seen a lot of combinations, which could be good, but it also, because you're resting players, but it also, I feel, doesn't allow the players to really gain chemistry and understanding with one another, because if you're constantly changing that front three or the players that you play with, like I think that it would be really hard to gain chemistry and to if you're playing with different players, you want to try to gain an understanding with them and know where they're going to be and where they're put the ball. And we've seen that Chelsea kind of have a misalignment in that. Sometimes a player will make a run, but the other player won't pick out the pass, or sometimes somebody will pick out a pass, but the player won't make the run because they're not expecting it. So and the other problem is that none of Chelsea's attackers are really like standing up. Like Pulisic looks like he's been playing better. He had an incredible the season. Well, do you know Pulisic because you're in the States as well?
I mean, yeah, he has a lot of hype over here because of that reason. So that's why I hear a lot about him. But personally, I mean, I knew at Dortmund he was doing really good, and I thought he was a really good signing for Chelsea. But personally, I feel like he hasn't quite lived up to the expectation.
Yeah, so last season, after Project Restart, he was amazing. He had like 10 goals and assists. He's like scoring or assisting in almost every game. He's complete difference maker. Got injured and never really could like get back into the rhythm. It didn't help that Chelsea were losing a lot of games, and then like we changed manager, and then like he's trying to get back in. So we're finally starting to see like a more fit Pulisic, and he's been scoring more and like looking more lethal. He's very direct, he's very pacey, but it's not how we saw him in Project Restart. And I think a lot of that is just like having that understanding. Oh God,
I heard that.
Yeah, I live on like it's like a car park there, and you always hear like the cars passing. So like Timo Werner and Christian Pulisic, I say this a lot. Like, I don't understand when they play together because they play in very similar positions, like both kind of on the left or like a little more centrally.
So Werner likes to drift off a little bit to the left.
Exactly.
Right.
So they kind of end up playing on top of each other. So it's kind of like a matter of you have Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Christian Pulisic, Hakim Ziyech as like the main four, and then you also have Tammy Abraham and Olivier Giroud on the fringes. Right. So it's who do you pick? And we're just seeing it chopped and changed a lot. Like sometimes it will be Pulisic. At first, I was like, okay, it seems that it's Pulisic and Havertz playing together and Timo and Ziyech playing together. But then at the weekend, it was Pulisic and Timo. So I really couldn't tell you who's going to start tomorrow. It's just a total crapshoot, honestly. And I think that that's kind of like where Chelsea are going to struggle the most is trying to score goals because we haven't been scoring goals.
And our defense has been really informed. But so has y'all's. And we've been struggling to score goals. So that's where it's going to be like, is it going to be a really tight? It's going to be a really tight, close game. And honestly, I don't expect a lot of goals. Personally, I think it's going to come down to like a 1-0, 1-1, 1-0 for either side. It could go either way for sure. But I want to hear real quick so I know it's hard for you to actually predict what the front three will be. But if you had to choose, if you were the manager, who would you go for?
Interesting. I would love to see Pulisic, but he played at the weekend, so that makes me think maybe he's not going to play. Okay. I think we're going to see Ziyech starting because he's been starting more Champions League games, and I think because of his experience, and I think he scored in both Champions League games for us. So I think we might see Ziyech. I think we might see Ziyech and Pulisic. But Havertz was also rested, so we could potentially see Havertz in there as well. So it's really hard to predict.
Players now.
If I have to hit it in, I'm going to say Pulisic and Ziyech, but that's probably not going to happen. Guys, let us know in the comments who you think is going to play tomorrow. I'm interested to hear if you think Pulisic will play or if he'll be rested because he played against Brighton. If you think Havertz will play. Havertz has been like on and off, so I don't know if he's going to play in a semifinal. And also, guys, there's almost 100 of you watching this. That's absolutely insane. And massive credit to Rodrigo because thank you so much for doing this. This is so cool.
And now that you're bringing up your viewers, I guess let me plug in what my account is a little more.
Yeah, of course.
So, guys, once again, hi to everyone, and I'm really excited to play against Chelsea. In our side, in my side of the channel, we're gonna do a shorter video, also analyzing the game. This one is really like the more in-depth one. But aside from that, if you guys want to go check it out, we do a lot of live reactions to. It's not just a Madrid account, but it's also a Barcelona account. My brother, he is a Barcelona fan, and so we normally get together to watch those videos. But another incentive for you guys to go follow my account is that if somehow Chelsea ends up going through to the final, we're for sure going to be doing live reaction to those videos as well and keeping up with the Champions League. So it's not just Madrid all the time. Last season, we did a few reaction videos to the Premier League too. So there's a little more in everything. We talked about the Super League, a lot of other things that you can find in the channel other than just Madrid.
If Chelsea go through, you'll have to wear a Chelsea shirt.
Oh man, I don't even have one actually. I have a City, a United jersey.
That's a travesty. Then you have to buy a Chelsea shirt and wear if we go through. So guys, if you have any questions for Rodrigo about Real Madrid, definitely try to get them in. You guys have just been chilling and chatting, but if you have any questions, definitely ask us. So where do you think, we know that this game is going to be really, really tight. Where do you think it's going to be won and lost? What do you think it's going to come down to?
The midfield. The midfield will be it. If one thing that we were very scared of in the Liverpool game was the tempo of the midfield. Normally when I watch Premier League games, I notice that overall the tempo, the rhythm of play in Premier League right now is a lot faster, more intense than it is in La Liga. So if Chelsea can go out there and exert a lot of like high pressure on us, the moment they get the ball, they're transitioning quick to offense, and they don't let our midfield, which is a little older, catch their breath and get a hold of the ball and hold of the game, then Chelsea is going to have a lot more options and we're going to struggle a lot. However, with that being said, if Madrid is able to find the ball more than Chelsea and Modric, Toni Kroos, and Casemiro feel comfortable, that's whenever Madrid becomes a true beast. So it's definitely going to come down to the midfield. That's why I'm really interested. Whenever I heard that Kovacic was gonna miss out on this game, I was like, in my opinion, that's a big loss, because Kovacic is a player that brings a lot of intensity to the game. He's not as stationary as some other players can be.
Yeah.
The fact that Kante is coming into this game, or a little bit on the edge of injury or tired, whatnot, also makes me be like, okay, that is another positive for Madrid. So like I said, it's going to come down to the midfield, obviously.
Yeah.
And then,
oh, sorry, I cut you off. I was just gonna say, completely agree. Your midfield is so strong, and something that Chelsea have struggled with sometimes, I feel, is passing the ball quickly. Sometimes we just revert back to old ways where we just kind of pass the ball side to side. And something that Tuchel is trying to implement is to pass forward and to always look forward and get your head up. And sometimes I get very frustrated watching because we are not doing that. So that's going to be, I think, one of the key aspects to watch out for in this game.
Yeah. I think a lot of teams can always fall into that fake possession style where they're keeping the ball, but it's a false sense of control, because if it's a lot of horizontal passes, you're really not doing any damage. The other team is just happy to sit back and watch you do those horizontal passes until you start trying to break through lines. That's when the possession game becomes a little more effective. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Would you say that Chelsea's game is more possession based or counterattack based?
Possession based, I think. For the large majority of it depends on the side, right? If it's a lower league side, we're going to have probably over 60% possession. But against a team that also wants possession, like Real Madrid, like a Liverpool or City, maybe it will be more closer to 50-50. But I think Chelsea really tries to have possession, but if they lose possession, they try to gain it back very quickly. And that's a main aspect of their game that Tuchel talks about a lot, is trying to find the space, create the space, and close down the space when the opposition has the ball, so that you can get the ball back quickly. So I think Chelsea as a team are very good defensively and try to absorb pressure, but Tuchel tries to play more of attacking than he does defensive, and tries to push the lineup so that we're not just sitting back and absorbing all of the pressure, because that can get very dangerous as well. So I think Chelsea has a very good counterattack, but the goal we scored versus Atletico, I think in the second was a counterattacking goal. I think against Porto it also was. So we can definitely catch you on the counter. We have very pacey players, but the main aim is to just try to get possession and build up from the back and go forward. We do have a question that I want to ask you. Tech Magic says, do you think that Hazard should start, or should Real rely on Vinicius Jr. because of the Liverpool and Clasico performance?
So I can 99% guarantee that Hazard will not start, and at the same time, I don't think he should start, because he's played such little games this season. He has such little. He hasn't played 90 minutes, I think, ever with Madrid, if not one or two times. 90 minutes. He's never finished a game, I think, if not once or twice. So he doesn't have the rhythm to keep up with the pace of the game, and Vinicius Jr. has just been a lot more in form. And he's a player that can really condition the defense. He won't allow, if you have Vinicius on the field, he will not allow the other team to press you high, because that pace, there's been almost no players that I've seen to be able to catch up to Vinicius Jr. Once he's on a run, it's likely guaranteed that he will probably beat that defender. So I think Vinicius Jr. will probably play 65 to 70 minutes of the game. And then we'll bring in Hazard to finish out the game whenever y'all's defense is maybe getting a little more tired and a little slower in tackles. So then Hazard maybe will be able to get some good dribbles and pass us in.
God, honestly, I'm struggling so hard. I can't imagine how much he would struggle facing Chelsea. I don't know, maybe it's just being a professional, but I would I don't know if I would be able to handle it mentally. So Sharon says, Rodrigo, do you think it's better to start in for 60 or so minutes as opposed to giving him 20 in the second half?
Yeah, so I guess kind of going back to how I answered the last one, I would rather give him in this specific game the last 20-25 minutes, and then maybe if he has a really good performance here, and then he goes in the weekend, maybe starts in the weekend, has a really good performance, then I would consider to start him for the second leg. But for this game, I would almost guarantee that Vinicius Jr. is going to play.
Yeah, and I think Hazard and Pulisic have had so many comparisons among them between Chelsea fans, because Pulisic reminds us a lot of Eden Hazard, but Pulisic is his own player, of course. But it's kind of a similar thing that Tuchel has said, is that Pulisic is so explosive that he can really run at tired legs, and he could be very effective in the final 20-30 minutes of a game when you have tired legs as well.
Yeah.
Glenn asks us, Rodrigo, thought on Real Madrid letting go of Kovacic back in the day?
So Kovacic is a player that I really liked, but at the same time, it was a player that it was necessary for us to sell, because he's a player that deserves to be starting in a team, and I never saw him as a starter at Madrid. With Cruz, Modric, Casemiro always in there, he was never really gonna beat him out to it. And back then, whenever he left, was back when Isco was also really playing really, really good. So Kovacic was an instrumental player for us. Like, honestly, I don't think we would have won the three Champions League that we won in a row. We would have not been able to do it if it wasn't for him. But yeah, like I said, I think it was a player that we just had to sell, because he wanted more out of himself, and Chelsea really provided that for him. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, and I think Kovacic really has come into his own, especially in the past year or two. He's Chelsea's player of the season last year, and he's just so important. So it's definitely a big miss for us to not have him play. Hopefully he'll be on in the second leg. So a lot of people I really want this to be like a Real Madrid. So just a very short answer on this, because we've already talked about it a lot, but a lot of people want to know, as a Real Madrid fan, what are your thoughts on Perez's involvement in the Super League? Yeah.
This could make for a whole other live stream.
I know. That's why I was like, let's just keep it very short.
I'm gonna keep it short. It's really hard, because at first I let myself get really carried on by the media. Oh gosh, I'm gonna try to find this the most concise way. If you go to my account, I have a video against the Super League. But with that being said, the more time that goes by since I posted that video, the more I actually kind of want to go against it. And so I know that's very controversial. And so my brother and I are working on making a video for why we actually think the Super League isn't exactly what all fans want, but something similar to the Super League is really what the sport needs. And so Florentino, we love him. He is Real Madrid's greatest president that we've ever had, in my opinion. And Florentino is a visionary, and he sees the future. He sees the fact that soccer, football, whatever you guys want to call it, is declining. No one wants to watch for example, in La Liga, a Huesca against Eibar, two of our lower league teams. That game being live streamed on TV has less viewers than this live stream right now. Right. So yes, we like in La Liga and yes, the move is really a monetary one. And yes, of course, it's, the bigger clubs need more money, but right away, the lower league teams saw this as the richer are just going to get richer and the poor are going to get poorer. But I think they failed to realize that as the big teams get more money, then that's more money for them to be able to give to the poor, because who's going to be developing players? The lower teams. We're going to be able to buy them from them, and then they get the money and they rebuild from that. So I think UEFA and FIFA got a hold of the idea of the Super League really fast, and they already had mechanisms in play to sway the public opinion on the Super League. And so that's what caused the Super League to crash so fast. And that's why I'm mad at myself for having kind of been influenced by it, because initially when I first heard about the Super League, I was like, this is really cool. This is really interesting. And then right away, I let the media change my opinion. So with that being said, I'm slowly reverting back to like what I initially thought. I think it needs a lot of tweaks, a lot of ways to make it also more merit-based. So teams can go up and teams can go down. I would potentially, if it was up to me, I would make it divisions. So Division 1 of the Super League, Division 2 of the Super League, and whatnot. And that would give, because a lot of people were saying, a lot of fans were arguing, well, the passion of football is taken away. But if you have second or third divisions of the Super League, think about it. Think about seeing a West Ham going up to play Sevilla or Valencia in La Liga, right? As part of the second division of the Super League. If I was like a kid and like my family is like, hey, we're gonna go to Spain to go watch West Ham play, that would be so cool. And you can't tell me that the passion of the sport is taken away with that. And at the same time, you have the merit of being able to go up. So that's as much as I'm going to say about that. But with that being said, like at first it was a little bit weird to see our president be the one that's commanding the Super League that is crashing. But at the same time, I think we need to have an open mind. And I think we need to see that the media influenced a lot of it. And that's why we have such a negative outlook on it. But really, I don't think it's that bad. So that's all I'll say for now. Maybe we can do another.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's so much that goes into it. I did a video like on what the Spanish newspapers are saying about it and saying about Pérez here. But I think it's interesting just because from all the English fans I've talked to, they're like vehemently opposed to it. And I find that the Spanish fans or the Real Madrid fans are more open to the idea. So it's like very interesting to get that perspective as well. We've been going for 45 minutes. This has been like the quickest 45 minutes ever. And
really
massive credit to you. Super cool. Just going to get to a couple more questions that I see in the chat. So Sharon asked a question for Ellie. Would you prefer if Madrid play a 3-5-2 as opposed to a 4-3-3, which would cause more problems like doubling up on the flanks against the single wing backs playing for Chelsea? I don't know. It's a really interesting question, and perhaps Rodrigo, you can say as well, like which you prefer. But I think if you go system for system, perhaps you have a better chance of catching somebody out and countering. What do you think?
Yes. That's a really good question, and that's something that I've been thinking about too when trying to decide what formation we should play. I think if we had Mendy, I would go for the 4 in the back because Mendy will be able to take care of it. But it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, which is Marcelo in a 4 in the back formation leaves us a lot of gaps because if he gets caught going up in offense, he will not return. He will jog back, walk back, and with the players,
it's like Alonso.
No, yeah, it won't be good for us. So offensively, for Madrid, obviously, if you just say, well, of course, I'd rather have 3 up top to y'all's 5 in the back rather than having 2 up top. That's like a no-brainer. Yeah, of course, I want to have more. But when you think of the whole aspect, the whole elimination round, I think it would probably be better if we at least start off with 5 in the back. Make sure that Chelsea doesn't score a goal in our stadium, so they don't have away goals, and then get Mendy back, and then go to y'all's stadium with maybe 4 in the back. And then take it to y'all where we can score away goals and potentially give us an advantage there. So I would go 5 in the back for this one.
Interesting. And that away goal is going to be so freaking important for Chelsea. Hopefully we can score it. And who it's going to come from, I literally have no idea. I'm always super surprised whenever whoever scores the goal. I never know. But it all depends who starts, and we really have no idea who's good.
I talked crap about Timo Werner, and so I hope that doesn't come back in me.
He scored at the weekend, so
I said it in my video. I was like, Timo Werner just scored. Let's hope this isn't the start of something.
Man. So finally, just what is your score prediction for this match?
I think Madrid's going to take it 1-0. It's going to be narrow, like I said, 1-0, but if not, maybe like a 1-1 score. But I'm going to go for 1-0.
I'm going to go for 1-0 as well. Guys, let me know in the comments what your predictions are. To Chelsea, 1-0 to Chelsea. I think that we could potentially keep a clean sheet. Going to be very, very important to keep Karim Benzema at bay. But Chelsea have kept a clean sheet against all of these really top sides. So why can't they do it again? But I wouldn't be surprised if we also saw like a 1-1, like a Benzema and I don't know, maybe like a Ziyech.
You don't know who's going to score for Chelsea.
Yeah. Who freaking knows, right?
Has their own goal.
Hazard own goal, yes. Courtois own goal.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody will love that one. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please drop it a like. Helps me out so much. We're pushing for 5K, which is super, super cool. I can't thank you guys enough. That's so awesome. So if you guys subscribe to my channel, I would honestly appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe to Rodrigo's channel as well.
Live streaming the Chelsea Madrid game. If any of you guys want to come check that one out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, if you want to get mad as well when Madrid score. So it will be really cool. He does absolutely awesome, super, super professional videos as well. So definitely check him out. And Rodrigo, thank you so much for joining me. I had a ton of fun.
This was awesome. It's like you said, these 15 minutes now. Gosh, 15 minutes. They went by super fast.
I know, it's so crazy. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Honestly, really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, because you could be doing a lot of things, but you decided to watch this live stream, and that means a lot. So until next time, I'm out.